If you haven't seen yesterday's rant on Kerry Vaughan, watch that after you watch this. This is better. I was thinking about it, and I was like, I might as well talk about it. Welcome to the D. Louise book series. I'm Christina, K-O-S-T-I-N-A. This is where we read books, talk about books, no special effects, no theme music, none of that fancy smanchy stuff going on here. And I thought I would talk about this. It's a good vampire series. I like her better. She will always be number one. Always. She's number one. Charlene Harris, Sookie Stackhouse will be number two. Patricia Briggs. Uh, Kim Harrison. If you want to see my vampire stuff, go check out my early If Then on the vampires. So check those out. What? You want it up. So are you an expert on vampires? You weren't here when I was reading all those. You're not old enough. So, if you haven't seen my If Then on vampires, go check that out. But for a new modern series, D.B. Reynolds, RAPHAEL, there's plot, there's romance, there's a little intrigue, mystery, whodunit, what's going on, what's the situation. There's something there. There's a little substance. The book we read yesterday just had it was just his life story, and it wasn't really interesting because the guy didn't care. The character specifically did not care that he didn't know the rules, that he didn't know this, or he didn't know that, or he just didn't care. And that was the feeling the entire book. The guy just didn't care. This, on the other hand, is a much, much better series. Much better series. Malibu, California, home to rock and roll gods and movie stars, the beautiful, the rich, and the vampires. Powerful and charismatic, Raphael is a vampire lord, one of the few who hold power of life and death over every vampire in existence. Thousands call him master and have pledged absolute loyalty on their very lives. But when, in a brazen and deadly daylight attack, a gang of human killers kidnaps the one female vampire he'd give his life for, Raphael turns to a human investigator to find his enemies before it's too late. Cynthia Lighton is smart, tough, and sexy private investigator, former cop who's tired of spying on cheating spouses and digging out old bank accounts. When Raphael asks her for help in tracking down the kidnappers, Sin is too happy to help. But soon she realizes her greatest danger not comes from the humans, but from Raphael himself. It's good. It's intriguing. And, Cynthia Lighton made a hard right turn into the parking lot of the Malibu Sheriff's Station, her tires squealing slightly on the gritty pavement. She had the door open almost before the big Land Rover came to a complete stop, yanking the keys from the ignition and jamming them into the pocket of her leather jacket. With one foot out the door, she twisted around and leaned over to the square pink box sitting on the passenger seat. It was tied with plain string, a little bow centered almost exactly on top of the thin cardboard. She slipped her fingers carefully under the bow and lifted. Then, sliding out of the truck, she used one booted foot to slam the door shut. The desk sergeant gave her a big grin as she came through. "Oh, it's Nancy Drew." Cynthia put the box down gently on the counter. "This is for you. Please take it away." Sergeant Adam Linville's grin got even bigger. "Nancy, you are the woman of my dreams." He cut the string, opened it, feeling the glorious aroma of sugar and fat to waft around the room. Cynthia hissed dramatically and held out her hand in a warding gesture, her fingers forked evil. "Take it away." "Come on, Lighton, eat something. I'm thinking of getting married again. You know, someone to keep me warm in my old age. You're a real looker and you're young, but I like a woman with some meat on her bones." I'll be sure to remember that if I ever lose my mind and decide to get married. All women want to get married. It's in your DNA. Not mine, Sarge. Everyone I know is divorced. Such cynicism. It hurts my heart. Have a cream puff. It'll help. Now, Nancy, if you're supposed to know about it, let's see. So tell me, Sarge, anything happen I could know about? So, Nancy, if it was something to know about, you'd know, wouldn't you? Come on. No gossip to share with the hardworking PI? He had a call this morning east of Paradise Cove, right before dawn. Woman claimed she heard automatic weapons fire, machine guns, she called them. Said it sounded like a shootout, Linville chuckled. Our unit drove out but didn't find nothing. No one else reported anything? Nope, not a peep. Oh, and your wife, Peter's back, got out on parole, and what's the first thing he does? Pays a visit to the ex. You pick him up? Oh, yeah, right. Back in the slammer, parole violation. By the time she rolled into the private space behind her Santa Monica office, it was nearly 6 and the sun was a blinding haze of gold on the western horizon. The days were already growing shorter. Another 6 weeks or so and it'd be full dark. Her office phone was ringing when she walked in. She dropped everything on her desk and grabbed it before the voicemail kicked in. Lighten, she said. It was the lawyer next door. I heard you pull into the parking lot, and I wondered if maybe you had time to meet with a client of mine. She's here now. The usual cheating husband. Cynthia hoped the wife wasn't listening to the lawyer's blithe dismissal of her broken heart. She was tempted to decline the job. She might joke with Linville, but it really got to her sometimes. She sighed. On the other hand, she had no other cases on the horizon, and while she wouldn't exactly starve without the income, she did try to make the agency pay for itself. So she goes and listens to the woman. Let's see, chapter 2. Raphael let his gaze roam the sparsely populated conference room, his eyes hidden behind dark glasses against the grayish lights. He and his fellow vampire lords were arrayed around a huge oval slab of marble that served as a table. He gave his watch a careful glance, wondering how much longer courtesy would force him to sit and listen to the ramblings of their host for this meeting. The door at the back of the room opened softly, and Raphael heard the bare whisper of footsteps on the carpet. His nostrils flared as he scented the air. It was one of his own. It was his lieutenant, Duncan. Sir, Alexandra has been kidnapped. Raphael forced himself to listen politely, to nod in agreement, and present a confident face until he knew more. He would give no sign of distress, show no vulnerability. Weakness was unacceptable in this country. For between them, Raphael and his fellow vampire lords controlled the continent and beyond, all of the United States, Canada, Mexico. No vampire existed within those bounds, but what they owed fealty to was one of these 8 lords. As yet as powerful as each of them was, none was so powerful as Raphael himself. Some were older, but age was not everything. Some claimed greater skill, but skill was no substitute for strength. These were things that were never spoken of. They were simply understood. Boundaries were observed. Respect was paid. Anything else would lead to war. And none of the men in this room wanted another war. But someone did. Someone thought to use Alexandra against him. Someone would pay dearly. Raphael. Let's see. He leaves the conference room. He goes down to the vehicle. Moments before dawn, this lord, they must have timed it to shift change, to limit the number of us they had to deal with. The human guards were already on station for the day. The vampires had gone to the barracks beneath the estate. They knew nothing until they woke this evening. And our human guards dead, sire. Surveillance? Yes, my lord. Waiting for you in Los Angeles. Gregor has briefed me. I want the estate locked down. No one comes or goes until I get there. Already done, my lord. Her bodyguards? One destroyed, Matthias. We cannot be certain of Albin, then? It would appear so, sire. You warned me against him, Duncan. Sire, you were right. I wanted to trust him. You wouldn't. I should have, Duncan. I've allowed old ties of friendship to blind me to the truth. I am as big a fool as that blabbing old man in there tonight. He is mine, my lord. No one touches Albin, Duncan. He is mine. Of course, my lord. We'll get her back. Yes, we will, Duncan. Never doubt it. And they will pay. No one takes what mine and lives. Book 1. Book 2. Book 3. Naked guy on the cover. Book 4. Book 5. Now this one, you gotta read them in between. Like, let's see, where's my chart here? Um, Hunted comes after Lucas. Then Aden. Then Unforgiven. Then Vincent. Deception. Christian Story. Compelled. Lucifer. Naked guy on the cover. Uh, and Quinn. LACHLAN. Naked guy on the cover. And XAVIER. Naked guy on the cover. And all of these have plot lines. All of them. Shall we do them in reverse? Book 14, XAVIER. Tall, dark, and deadly vampire Xavier Prespo Flores waded through blood to destroy his enemies and reach the pinnacle of vampire society, Vampire Lord. He has only one regret in his long life, and that's the day he rejected the advances of Layla. She'd been too innocent, too naive, and far too young, but she'd also been his. Layla was only 19 when she left Spain, broken-hearted and humiliated by Xavier's rejection. But now, 10 years later, the ties of family are pulling her back, not only to Spain, but to Xavier's fortress. Her father, the Vampire Lord's military commander, is critically ill. Layla has spent years fighting on the battlefields around the world, so when her father asks her to come home, she comes home. Will they get back together? LACHLAN, Book 13. Lethal and charismatic vampire LACHLAN McRae woke on his first night to death and devastation. His clan slaughtered, his fortress destroyed. 150 years later, driven to avenge the number of everyone he loved, he's ready to hunt down and kill the one vampire who's behind it all, Erskine Ross, the Vampire Lord of Scotland. Beautiful, smart, and cool under pressure, Julia Harper is determined to prove she's more than a child of wealth and privilege. When a longtime friend is murdered by vampires, she steps out of her role as analyst for CIA and sets out to take down one of the most powerful men in Scotland, Erskine Ross. See, they're not just love stories, there's substance there too. Brilliant and ambitious Quinn Cavanaugh was aiming for the top even before he turned, but now as powerful vampire lord, he's driven by the demands of his blood, compelled to conquer and defeat Ireland's criminal ruler, and make the territory a better place for all vampires and humans alike. Smart and beautiful Eve Connolly was a graduate student with life's endless possibilities stretched out before her. She knew nothing of vampires and didn't care until she watched two of them murder her beloved brother. Now she's driven too, but she doesn't want to help Ireland's vampires. She just wants to kill them. Bound together by love and hate, Quinn and Eve will risk everything to bring down the bloody regime of Ireland's current vampire ruler. But in order to find revenge for Eve and the ultimate power for Quinn, they must first have to learn to trust each other. And that might take a few minutes. Lucifer. Lucifer's is a vampire, handsome and charismatic, a powerful hunter of the usual scale who arrives in Montreal to take on the most important hunt of his life. Someone has kidnapped the mate of Canada's ruling vampire lord, and it's up to Lucifer to find him before his death sets off a crisis that can engulf the entire continent. Eleanor Morel lost everything, including the love of her life, when she became a vampire. But now, 20 years later, she's a trusted bodyguard to Canadian Lord Sophia, and the only person Sophia can count on to lead the search for her endangered mate. But what Eleanor doesn't know is that the special hunter she'll be working with is none other than her long-lost love, and he's determined to get answers. Christian Duval, a charismatic and powerful and determined to claim the South as his own, with vampire old enemies and new fighting to stop him. Victory suddenly takes on a brutal and far more treacherous edge because what one of his enemies wants more than anything else belongs to Christian, and her name is Natalie. Natalie Vermont Godet, brilliantly and lovely, a strong Southern woman who can unravel the most intricate financial shames designed to swindle and steal. She loves her complex job and the simplicity of her life, and then she meets Christian. He's beautiful, he's complicated, and she'll fight to keep him alive. Deception. Raphael, powerful, extraordinary, arrogant, he's been eliminating rivals and gathering allies determined not to just survive, but to demolish the Europeans who think they can steal what he's worked for centuries to create. In a final bid to avert war that seems inevitable, Raphael agrees to meet an enemy he's known of old. She is formidable, wild, and not to be trusted, but in his arrogance, Raphael believes he can foil whatever treachery she's brewing. Cynthia, the girlfriend. Raphael's human mate, beautiful, smart, and deadly when threatened. She doesn't trust anyone, much less a powerful vampire claiming to want peace. So while Raphael prepares to negotiate a treaty, Sin is preparing for the inevitable double cross that she knows is coming. Raphael worries about saving thousands of vampire lives. She only cares about saving him. Vincent, powerful and charismatic, was made vampire by an ambitious leader looking for soldiers to pave his way to rule all of Mexico. But more than a century later, Vincent's sire is looking over his shoulder as Vincent closes in for the kill, ready to claim this title Lord of Mexico for himself. Lana Arnold is a bounty hunter, smart, beautiful, and determined to chart her own future. So when the most powerful vampire lord in all of North America enlists her help in tracking down a very, very old exclusive bloodsucker, Lana sees nothing but opportunity. There's only one catch. The client wants her to take Vincent, a vampire she neither knows nor trusts, along on the hunt. ADEN. Born into slavery, ADEN is one of the most powerful vampires in North America. A waging war on others of his kind, is struggling to become the next lord of the Midwest. But in the midst of all the deadliest fight of his long life, the ghosts of his past have come back to haunt him. Slavery still exists, and ADEN is hell-bent on destroying it and the vampires who profit from it. Sidoni is an investigative reporter in pursuit of the biggest story of her career, until that story costs the life of a friend, and Sid realizes she has to do much more than write about it. Intent on bringing down the vampires and their slave network, Sid gains entry into the highest levels of vampire society, where she finds herself confronting the raw sexuality that is ADEN. Lucas. Vampire Lord is one of the most powerful vampires in North America, and beyond charming and irrelevant his friends and lovers, he enjoys seeing about his life as vampire. But when a neighboring lord makes the mistake of declaring war, he just quickly discovers that Lucas is every bit as lethal as he is charming. Catherine doesn't care about powerful vampires or their wars. Her baby brother is missing, and she will do anything to find him, even if it means going against both her FBI bosses and the local vampire lord. But Lucas has other plans for the lovely FBI agent who landed on his doorsteps. There's more to these than just romance. Duncan, a power unto himself, Duncan has served at Raphael's side for 150 years, but long-laid plans have finally borne fruit, and the time has come for Duncan to leave Raphael and tackle the greatest challenge of his life. He will face treachery, vampires, and murderous humans. He will rock the halls of human power if necessary, but Washington, D.C. will be his. Emma Duquette cares nothing for vampire politics. She just wants to find her missing roommate and her best friend Lacey. But Lacey's been playing with vampires of a particularly dangerous kind, and Emma will have to deal with the new vampire in town if she's going to find her friend. Sophia. Sophia, beautiful and deadly, has spent the last 100 years dancing her way through the balmy nights and the blood men of South America, but when her sire sends an urgent summons, Sophia rushes home to Vancouver only to find he has disappeared, leaving nothing behind but 3 dead vampires and a letter with Sophia's name on it. Colin Murphy, a former Navy SEAL, came to Northwest seeking a quiet place to heal the scars he earned in more than a decade of war. But when someone starts killing local vampires and torturing their mates, Colin takes on the mantle of warrior once again as he sets out to find the killers and do whatever it takes to stop them, even if it means hunting with vampires. RAJMUND. New York City vampire RAJMUND is the undisputed master of the Big Apple. He bows to no one but his sire, the Lord Christoph, who has ruled the Northeast for 100 years. When Christoph summons RAJMUND to his headquarters in Buffalo, Raj finds his master slowly descending into madness and his territory crumbling around him. Raj is the only one of Christoph's children strong enough to seize power, but he'll have to save his master before he can destroy him. Several women have gone missing, and the local police are convinced a vampire is behind it. Christoph is so lost to reality that he is capturing and murdering human women. Is a rogue vampire moving into Christoph's territory for the kill, or is it something far more insidious? Sarah Stratton is living a lie. Her past holds a secret she shares with no one, not even her good friend Cynthia, the West Coast vampire lord's mate. It's a secret that could destroy her carefully constructed life as a professor at Buffalo University. It's also a secret that could save the lives of the missing women. To save them, however, she must enter Buffalo's vampire community and put herself into the care of RAJMUND. But can she trust him? JABRIL. Wrong, because Houston is also home to JABRIL, one of the 8 most powerful vampire lords to control all of North America. But as a private investigator, Cynthia will soon discover that not all vampire lords are created equal. For JABRIL is the face of evil in the New World. A vampire values no life but his own, who enslaves those he desires, steals whatever he wants, and destroys anyone who stands in his way. Running from LA and its seductive vampire lord Raphael, Sin sees the Houston job as a welcome refuge, a place to get away from and heal from her broken heart. But Texas will be no vacation for JABRIL. Sin will confront a true enemy, one who will go to any lengths to satisfy his lust, enrich his coffers, and expand his powers. And of course, Raphael. They are some good books. I hope you will check them out, and I hope you will have a good day.